We get started. And we'd like to have everybody on video for our webinar today. And we'd love to have this be as interactive as possible. Love to have all you guys here. Pretty much know everybody. Good to see everybody here. Jared, I see you driving. It'll be hard for you to take notes for the first part. So love to have again everybody live and on video, but also muted so we don't have background noise from the group here. We expect to have about 25 people that have registered. We'll see what our crowd ends up looking like today, but we just giving everybody a couple minutes to get in here. All right, Joel, good to see you. And Master Dunn, good to see you. Marty, I see you there. All right, good. Well, let's get moving. We've got a few people joining, but their internet looks like it's joining slowly. Okay, did everybody have any trouble getting the reminders or getting connected today? Y'all got reminders, a bunch of reminders. We reminded the hell out of you, yes? Yeah, we reminded you guys a bunch. Good. I'm trying to get us to remind everybody a bunch of times because sometimes we get I'd rather have us over remind you than under remind you. All right, so let's get started. And what our goal here is, and hopefully everybody knows our goal. We'll try something a little different today. Our goal, all of you guys are either authors or you are prospective authors. You haven't finished your book yet. And either way, that's great. You are still in the right place either way. And what we're going to do is talk about using your book to market your business and how many ways you can do that. And there's a lot of stuff we've got to cover. And I've only got an hour. I have to finish right on time today because, well, hopefully because you guys want to respect your time, but also because we want to make sure that I've got another webinar to teach. If you have, some of you guys have signed up for the other webinar, which is how to market, how to use Google reviews in your business. So if you haven't gotten registered for that, some of you guys will be hanging around here for 2 hours. If you haven't got registered for that, you probably got emails in your inbox about that as well. So right now we're talking about using your book to market your business. And again, some of you guys haven't finished your book. If you haven't finished your book, you could still do just about everything we're talking about here. Just about, not quite everything, but just about everything. And you can do it in a pre-sale kind of way. And we'll hopefully touch a little bit on how we're going to do that. But let's get started. We've published a lot of books. We're going to talk about 3 main categories to use to market your book. And one's going to be, of course, offline. One then means online. And the other would be how you can outsource some of this stuff. Either we could do it or you could have other people. I'll talk about some ways that you can outsource this, not just outsource it to another company, but then internally in your own company, how you could have other people do it inside your company. But right now, as we get started, get a piece of paper out. So everybody, except for Jared, who's driving, no, don't want you to be unsafe, but get a piece of paper out. And I want you to list all the things that we cover today. There's going to be a lot we cover. I'm going to try to compress, like this could be an 8 hour or 2-day seminar. And I'm going to try to jam it into an hour here. So we're going to try to compress stuff in, and you're not going to do everything. You're not going to do everything we're going to talk about, but what you want to do in the next 12 months. What do you want to cover in the next 12 months? What you want to get done? A few of these I'm going to mark as essential. A few are going to be things you just have to do no matter what. When your book comes in, when you get copies of your book, some of you guys have had your book for a while, and I've been bugging you. And that's one reason I decided to teach this seminar, is because I've been bugging a few of you guys, you know who you are, that you better get your book and use your book to market your business right now. So get the piece of paper out. Please do this. If there's one thing you do, get the paper out. And what I want you to focus on is what on the next to each item is what your expected return on investment is going to be. So if we talk about a marketing piece or something that we'll touch on sales as well, how that's going to affect you in your business, because it should affect you not just in money, but use of your time, because some of these things will take some time. And if they take some time, we want to make sure that there's some use of your time, there's some value in your time of what you're going to do. And by the way, all those things should be, massive return on investment. Everything with your book should give you a 10 to 20 to 100 to 1 return on the investment of your time, especially those who got your book published already. I mean, your books will cost you, a couple bucks a piece, right? I mean, this is Amanda, this is your book here. What's that, about $250 for your copy of your book? Yeah, about $2, $250. Most of your books are about that much. A few of you guys wanted color in your book, so it costs a little bit more. Very low cost for your book. And the next thing is to schedule a follow-up time. We are putting a link in your chat for the follow-up time in your book. Let me put it in there right now. I may have. Come on. You probably also have it in your you probably also have it in your let me copy this for you, and let me copy this for you and get it in the chat so that you can use that. But I want you to set up a follow-up time with me so that you can record the meeting locally. I just gave you permission. So here's the link to set up a follow-up time. You should also have an email that has this link in it, but everybody should have the link now for setting up a follow-up time with me. Okay, I'm going to send the recording out, by the way, so nobody really has to record this. All right, did we lose our screen share? Lost our screen share. All right, but anyway, schedule a follow-up time with me. Again, the link's in the chat to plan your marketing for your book. So we're going to cover again what probably I could do in 2 days, in about an hour. Everything we're going to do, we need to make a step-by-step list for, and then I'm going to go over it with you individually so that we figure it out for yourself. So schedule that time. I'm going to check on you. If you've been at one of my workshops before, you know that I'll bug you the whole workshop if you don't schedule a time. So you might as well do it now so I don't hassle you later. So make sure you schedule a time. All right, so let's get started. A couple things you need to put into place. These are kind of on the essential list. Remember, there's some things you won't do, some things you will do, but there's some essentials. If you haven't ordered books, do it now. Some of you guys haven't got your books completed yet, so you're off the hook. But when your books are completed, order a couple hundred books right away. If you are running low on books, order a bunch. So you always need to have books on hand to give out. They're a couple bucks a piece, have a few hundred handy. I have books in the back of my car. I have books here. I have a whole bunch of copies of books. These are just sitting around here. These are some of the books that I have co-authored with Tracy Thomas. These are some of my books. I have like 20 of them sitting here. So if I ever need to, on the spur of the moment, do something, I can grab some books. I've got another bunch of copies in a box full of my Stories of the Black Belts books. If it's one of my martial arts events that I'm going to do, I've got a box of them over here. I just grab the box and then I go, and it's like a go box of books. Have them ready for whatever thing might come up, because if I'm going to go somewhere, I want to be able to give people a copy of my book. A lot of reasons for that. So order books. These didn't all go one by one. Get Amazon reviews. So if you're going to go to my next webinar today or listen to it later, make sure that you're getting reviews. One of the things with your book is to get Amazon reviews, and Amazon reviews need to be verified purchases. So I'm going to show you that right now, what the difference of that is. If you get if you do an Amazon verified purchase, so we go on shopping and we go to amazon.com, and let's say we search for a book like just any book. I'll just type book here, and I'll find a really popular book. So something that's, well, I'm not getting the popular book. What's a popular book? Da Vinci Code. So if I got Da Vinci Code, they're going to have 17,000 reviews on this, right? And if we look at the reviews down here, you're going to see the word verified purchase. See that down here? So verified purchase means this guy bought the book and then he wrote it. So that's a more legitimate review. And this will help you with your ranking of your book. Now you might feel like, well, I'm buying, maybe if I work really hard, I'm never going to get 17,000 reviews of my book, but your books are very niched. Your books are going to be about a specific area in financial advice for Joel, or for Tim, yours are going to be about some really interesting things about survival and martial arts. It's got some very narrow things in martial arts. When Tim gets his book finished and we announce it, make sure you read his. It's really interesting. Jeff, yours is all you guys have, I could talk about each one of yours, and they're very, very different, very narrow niches. So when they're narrow niches, if you got 100 reviews, which is doable, then a verified purchase with 100 reviews makes a big difference. How do you get some more of these? Well, one tool that I use is I buy a gift card for 20, 30 people, and I send them a gift card that covers the cost of the ebook. So the ebook or the Kindle book, for Da Vinci Code here, it's $9.99. I don't have to buy them the hardcover version of my book, and I price my Kindle version really low for the first couple months. So I might only give them a $5 Amazon gift card, send it out to them, say, hey, here's a $5 Amazon gift card. Would you mind writing a review of my book? This is going to be something we'll work on with your one-on-one, depending on how you want to do your strategy. Who would you like to give a copy of the book to? There might be somebody that's a prospect of yours. It might be somebody who's an influencer in your world. And it also might be your aunt and uncle and your some of your employees that you're telling them, you better darn well write a review of my darn book. Otherwise, I'm going to go yell at you later. But then they don't have to use their own money. Okay. Now, anybody can write a review. You don't have to have a verified purchase to write a review. So some of you, I wrote a review before we discovered that was an important thing. But for most of you that we've done a book for recently, I bought the book personally myself from Amazon. So hopefully you guys didn't have the price too high. And I did it as a verified purchase. Okay. Dwayne Fleas, Paul Helsden, I bought your guys' book. A few other guys, Marty Callahan, I bought your book, and so on if it was recent. So Jared, I bought your book, and so on. So I got your guys' book so that we'd show verified purchase, but you got to do the rest of the work, get some more verified purchase. Okay, let's hurry because I've got a lot to go through. Please unmute yourself, ask questions. I want you guys to get all the things answered that you need, that I'm going so fast that I won't cover. So please ask questions. Next thing, you're an author now. Use your author title everywhere. You're not Joel anymore. You're Joel, who's the author of your book. You're also, if you've won awards for anything, probably not an award for your first grade. Winning author, whatever it is. So here's Amanda Olson's book, Create a Happy and Harmonious Home. She's the award-winning author of Create a Happy and Harmonious Home. Now that award, it sounds like it's for this book, but the award-winning refers to her. So that's a title you can use. And if you've ever seen that used, award-winning author of something, the award-winning doesn't mean of the book. Could be the book, but it doesn't refer to the book. So use those titles everywhere. Like I have my PhD, so I use the doctor title. I don't really care if anybody calls me doctor ever, but I spent all that time doing that. I'm going to use doctor all the time, right? I mean, I'm not going to waste my I'm not going to waste the effort that I put into getting that title. Some of you have credentials. Some of you guys are masters, and some of you guys have it. You have qualifications in letters behind your name. Use author, award-winning author. Use those everywhere you can. When you sign your name, you can sign your name, and then underneath you put your name and then award-winning author of. Put that everywhere you possibly can. If you're not doing that now, you need to do that everywhere. Okay. Next thing, essential. Use your business page. So at the back of your book, for everybody that we work with, we tell you to do a business page, like about getting started at your business. There's a business page. So you have to use your business page liberally. And I'm going to show you some ways to use that as we dig through some of the marketing pieces. Couple ways. There's pieces in your book. If you've done multiple books, if you do one book, that's about what you'd have. For those of you who've done series, Marty, you're doing a series of books. We've got some other people. Christian says you guys are doing a series. You'll have other business pages. Like, for example, this says, you can see $1 million bill. This is a tool we're using in other sales processes. When you have multiple, you may have multiple business pages. Also use specific chapters. Joel, for example, you've got, for financial advice, you've got multiple chapters on different topics. That would be if somebody has a specific financial request, might be a client, prospect, an influencer, you can use those specific chapters, put a sticky note on those and send it so that it's a more specific response. And all you guys have those type of capabilities. So these are on my essential list that you got to be using right now. Michael Brown, same for you. Yours, you have the different standing orders. One of those might be very resonate with somebody. So each of your chapters has something that might be important. Everybody's got that. I could use each of you as an example. Stop me with questions. Okay, so let's talk about offline marketing. So first thing I'm going to talk about with offline marketing, I feel like I'm lecturing. I don't need to. Please stop me with questions, guys. And please tell us examples if you are using something that I miss. So some of you, there's a lot more that we could do besides what we'll be able to cover in the time we have. Well, offline marketing starts really with sales. And so it's not marketing, it's really sales. This is kind of a bonus piece. One thing to use your book for is in pre-sales. Somebody calls, wants an appointment, and sending your book to them before the meeting that you have. Now, for a lot of you, that's not practical, because for some of you, your goal is to get the meeting within a couple days, because that increases appointment show rate. So ideally, you'd have an appointment before. But what if, for some of you, you might have a webinar, or you might have an event where somebody's registered to show up. Maybe you've got a seminar you're teaching, somebody registers to show up. The book can go out to them before the event, and that can encourage them to schedule a meeting before. That can encourage them to show up to the event for $2, or for your cost for your book and the postage for that. Now they get a hard copy of your book. Before I go further, some of you might think about, well, I could send them an ebook. I could send them a PDF of my book, and that would be much easier because it'd be in the email. You could do that, and that's a good solution if the time before your meeting is a day or two and you can't get it there in the mail. But if it's not that kind of solution, it's always better to get physical objects. So that's one thing to remember about your book. Many people in today's day and age end up wanting to lean towards electronic methods of transfer, and it isn't nearly as effective for a lot of reasons. A lot of you guys have talked to me about that in other contexts. Dwayne Fleas, you got your book cover as your background there. Nice job. Nice touch. Those of you who see him with the two kids. Questions about that for pre-selling? Has anybody used that yet?
Yes, sir. We've had several pre-sales ahead of time.
That's fantastic. Okay, good. How did it go down?
I just told them about the book on Amazon, and they went and purchased it.
And that helped encourage a meeting?
Yeah, and they tend to be more involved in the meeting after receiving the book.
Tell everybody what your title of your book is.
The title of the book is Life Stinks When Your Kids Jerk: The Secrets to Building Disciplined, Respectful, Happy Children.
That's a pretty aggressive title, right?
Yes,
But
sir.
you're going to remember it. I was kind of asking everybody else. I have it here. I pull it out. I've probably shown that title off a bunch. So yeah, and so this is something that they're going to notice and they're going to pay attention to. All right. So another thing. Thank you for sharing that. Another one is on initial client sales. Imagine they're walking into your office, your school, your place, and you're doing business. Somebody left a chat here. I probably oh yeah. If you guys just talk rather than ask questions on chat, I probably won't catch them in time. So Michael Brown, you asked about the business page. I'll always, if you put questions on chat, I'm always going to probably catch them out of context because I won't catch them till later. Let me answer that question. Business page is the back of your book. And those of you who haven't finished your book, it's important to note at the back of your book, we're always going to put an ad or something that shows how to get started in your business. Now, for example, in his case, he's doing something about kind of a totally separate business he's creating in addition to his regular business. So in your case, you're going to be working with churches and organizations about active shooter events and safety and security. So you're going to be promoting that business within that last page of your book. And I'll talk about how to use that, but that information needs to be in your book. Your book's to promote your business, so they need to know how to contact you through that business page.
Thank you. I missed that.
Yeah, no problem. And yeah, anybody, please ask questions and help me out. Help me out so it's not just me talking. Initial client sales. So imagine they come to your business and one of the first things they get is a copy of your book. So that does a couple things. It builds authority. And what we want to have in that regard is, because you're an author, and I'm sure I've told everybody this because we had you guys in our book program, but 0.1% of the population has a PhD, 1 in 1,000, but 0.02%, like 50 times less, has written a book. So when you've written a book and it makes you an expert automatically on the subject, and it puts you in a higher status than almost anybody they know. I mean, very few people have done what you've done or what you're going to do. So when you start out a conversation with, here's my book, love for you to have a copy of my book, it does that. The second thing it does is it invokes the law of reciprocity. Those of you who haven't read Robert Cialdini, the book Influence, Science, and Practice, I recommend you read that and take a moment to look at the 7 laws of influence. One of those is, if I give you something, then people feel a compulsion to give back to you. So if on initial client sales, if you give them your book, you're giving them an object, you're giving them something of value, and the book has value, then they're going to be inclined to return the favor and give something back to you. So initial client sales, it's a great place to use. And then the next thing, and again, we're going really quick through this, it's your one-on-one. We'll talk about where in the sales process to use that. It's very important, a very critical place in the sales process that'll depend on you. And then in any kind of renewal, upgrade, retention piece, it's great to use this. Now, we'll use this if you've only got one book. We'll use this multiple times. It's perfectly okay. And you might want to write this down on your list. It's perfectly okay to give your book out to somebody multiple times. Now, it's great if you have multiple books. I have 7. So I can use different books in each case. But when I only had one book, my first book, The Life Skills of Leaders, this one, when I only had this book, I gave them this book probably 3 or 4 times. I'd give it to them very frequently before they even showed up at my business. Second time might be when they enrolled. Next time might be when they moved up a level in our program. The reason is I'd point out different components of the book each time. And if they said, oh, I've already got a copy of it, sit on my shelf, okay, great. You don't need another copy, fine. but very frequently they would have gotten the book, put it away, given it to somebody, lost it. It's fine. You're giving an object that has some value. Just remember, you write it down. It's okay to give your book out multiple times. Your cost is very minimal. That one's a thicker book. This is about 250 pages, 200 pages. So that one cost me about $290 per copy of the book. So it's very low cost reason to do it. If you haven't, I know some of you have had clients that maybe you haven't seen in a couple years. Sending a book to get them back in, that's a pretty shocking thing to get. It's like if you've heard the word shock and awe, common term by Dan Kennedy. Dan Kennedy, a marketing guru, if you haven't looked him up for some of you, but sending that as part of a shock and awe box, then that's an impressive thing. If they get that in a FedEx package or a fake FedEx envelope, and now they get a copy of your book. Hey, I'd like to, give you a copy of my book. You've been one of my customers before. Here's a copy of my book and maybe a cover letter that's personalized to them. See what happens about getting them reconnected to you. All right, so that's some sales. Again, I went really fast through that. I need to move on, but we can work at your one-on-one on that. Anybody use it for a different purpose there, please unmute and let me know. Internal marketing uses. So let's talk about internal marketing uses offline. Books have been called the world's best business card. So whenever you think about handing out business cards, I was just at one of our webinars yesterday in one of our groups, consulting groups, and somebody was talking about, well, I like to go to networking groups and hand out my business card. That's to me, I mean, it's okay if you don't have anything else to do. It's okay. But I don't know about you, but I don't know how many people you've handed out business cards to. How many would you have to hand out business cards to before somebody actually calls you? 1,000 business cards, 2,000 business cards. I mean, it would be a lot, wouldn't it? It'd be a lot of business cards. But if you handed a book to somebody that has some significance, it's a lot easier to ask for an appointment afterwards. It's a lot easier to start a conversation about it. So here's a copy of my book. That's one way. The other way is at the front counter of your business, or when people walk in, if that's the kind of business you have, and giving these copies out. Give them to your friends. Some of you guys have had your books. Have you given them to your friends? I think for some of you, the answer is no. Your actual buddies and friends that aren't related to your business. Could they write a review? Could you send them a copy of your book, have them do a verified purchase review, or send them a gift card in that case? A $5 gift card for Amazon so they can buy a copy of your book and get some feedback on it. So internal events. Let's talk about internal events a little bit, and I may come back to this a little bit. Internal events could be for some of your businesses like birthday parties, martial arts types of events. For financial events, it could be client appreciation events that could apply to any business, or events that you're teaching something, whatever that event is. The book can be a giveaway at the end of the event in exchange for setting appointments for referred people. So we know that referrals work best if either it's an event where one person brings a group, like one person's bringing their whole company or their whole work group to do something with you, or it's multiple people, everybody in your company. For our martial arts guys, if it's everybody brings somebody to be their partner for a bullying prevention event. For people in other businesses that are either watching or listening, if one person brings their friend because they're seeing a topic of interest that they like. And the book is the exchange for, if you fill out this form, so you get a free copy of my book mailed to you. And then as soon as they finish that, then we set an appointment. So we've got the information, and then then when they turn it in, then we set an appointment. It's always critical to set appointments, but that's a really easy way to get an exchange of information for the book. Now that'll come up online too. I'll mention it later, but online, this can be used for getting name, phone, and email to get a download of the book as a lead magnet. And the secondary page that they get, once they get the download, the secondary page can give me your address so that you can mail to them, so that they get a book mailed to them. And then you just send them the book for free. Okay, multiple ways you can handle that. And again, it's your one-on-one. I can work with you on that. That expanded a little bit more than I was intending. Couple things. I would call this one essential for you guys. Offline, and it's kind of mixed because you're going to use it online too, is an unboxing video. If you haven't done this yet, if you've already gotten your book, you need to do it. Some of you guys have already done it. Even if you've had the book for a year, if you haven't done an unboxing video, you see this for all kinds of electronics products, like when people get the new iPhone and it goes viral all over the internet, somebody unboxing their first new iPhone. Well, it's the same thing for you. You control this, and you get your book and you get your first shipment of your 100 books, and you have it on a table and you open the box up and you're really proud of showing off your first book, and then you talk about it. Now, this can be in a group if that's appropriate for your business, or it could be just you. I'm really excited. You're in your office. I'm really excited about my next book. It could be like me right here in my office and talking about my book and doing this on Zoom. It could just be me, myself. And now I've got a video that I can share with prospects. Now I can share it with on YouTube. I can share it on my website that then can get pushed out all kinds of different places. I can email it out. It's a really good excuse to email out and communicate with people. So an unboxing video is a great way to start the launch of your book. Book signing is another way to do this. This can be online or offline. One way to do it was a lot easier when there were 500 bookstores in a town. But if there's any bookstores in a town now, you can be guaranteed that they need more content. They need more people to do stuff. And if you're willing to go to the bookstore with a box of your books and do a book signing, this is good. You can take pictures of you doing the book signing. You can have a banner from you and your business there, and you can do a book signing with people just come walking up to you because there's people at the bookstore. You just need to find out when their busiest time is. Bookstores often like you to be there. Barnes and Noble still exist. Borders doesn't. So book signings are still a thing, and you can then record this and talk about you had a book signing and push that online too. You can also do an online book signing. What an online book signing is you talking about your book and promoting it as you're doing your online book signing to your list. And it'll be something like I'm doing now, talking about your book. Thanks a lot for coming to my online book signing. Again, I can help you with one-on-one with how do you do this. Thanks a lot for coming to my online book signing. And you talk about your book and you show yourself signing copies of the book as you're talking about it. And then anybody who comes to the online book signing can get a free copy of your book if they show up. How do they get a free copy? They can either, depends on how you want to set it up. We can help you with how do you set it up, but they can provide their name, phone, email, and address, and that's a new lead. Preferably, the best way to have that work is when they provide the name, phone, email, you have somebody in your office calling them immediately and setting an appointment. I want to confirm your address, make sure we get you a copy of the book, like to schedule a time for you to come in. And that's how an online book signing works. And you're just marketing to your prospect list. Common practices continue to market to your prospect list. Author Talks is basically the same thing. So unboxing, book signing, Author Talks can be used in all those ways. I wanted to mention events real quick before I go to outreach. And I mentioned events before. Books can be liberally used with events. I talked about pre-sale. At the event, they can get a copy of the book. If they've already got a copy of the book, you can give them a copy of the book and then some other offer. And then at the end is when they would pick up the copy of your book. And that gives you an opportunity. Let's say at the pre-sale, you gave them a PDF of the book or a download of the book. Then at the end of the event, when they showed up, they got a live copy, they got a hard, a paperback copy of it. That's when you can ask them for an appointment. So this can apply to all the different events that you do. Let's talk about outreach. to organizations. I'm just gonna talk about all these three. You can send in packages. So what we'll do is have a box that we would send. Let's say I want to work with schools, or I want to work with churches, or I want to work with police, fire department, get to influencers. Often in the city for my business in Cave Creek, Arizona, we're in with the police and fire department and the school district. So how do we get in with them? We sent this book along with a cover letter in a FedEx box. So it was like a genuine FedEx box. And I didn't give a darn if it got sent overnight. It didn't mean anything. What I wanted it to be was it got sent to the superintendent, the principals of each school, and so on. And it was there with a cover letter personalized for me, signed by me, and then with that book. And it just told them about the book, told them what services we can provide for them, and it got sent to enough of them. Well, did every one of them reach back out? No, but a few of them did. And then we sent another package with the same book, different cover letter, and different testimonial material in it. Again, about 3 or 4 weeks later. And then we sent another. Now, if I didn't have other books, I would have used the same book, and then just package it with some different stuff. And then we sent that another about 3 weeks later, along with follow-up material in between. Because now you have something that says you're an expert because you wrote the book and you're trying to contact those people. So if you know the influencers that you want to connect with and who you're going to be, who you're going to want to work with, then you can continue to use your book in that way. Now, when we do that, we also follow up by walking to the office, going physically to those places as well. So the combination of all of those either would get us in with one of those organizations in the first stage when we sent the box, the second stage when we would physically go there, regardless of whether they responded, and the third stage when we do follow-up content and media. But the book would be the catalyst for that, because now it puts us in an expert position. Questions on that? No, and we can go through some detail when we do your one-on-one. Again, let me see if everybody's got scheduled. I don't have everybody scheduled yet. Make sure you schedule your follow-ups for doing your book marketing campaign. I know that's in the chat. Make sure. I think
just have to wait for my mom so that we can schedule together.
Okay.
She's with Master Oliver right now.
Okay. Let me put the link back in case anybody who comes in late, you wouldn't be able to see the chat. So I put that link back in. So make sure you guys schedule the time now, because you'll lose it after the webinar's over. You're going to lose the link. Okay. And then we'll just do a follow-up marketing plan for everything that we talked about today and put all these things in. All right. You can do speeches and talks. Your book kind of gives you a way to do speeches and talks. It gives you a way that you can go to an organization. Gerald Dunn, you just did a radio show. Yeah, you're muted. You're still muted. Well, I'll tell the story about it. He just did a radio. Go ahead. Now you're not.
Yeah. This is actually my second visit on the radio show, and the first episode that we did, we basically talked about the subject matter of the book. We're talking about the importance of role models and how to make sure your kids get exposed to good role models.
That's perfect. Yeah, and you got a lot of material you can keep going back to them with the book.
Yeah, and a lot of material with everything. So this was the second one. I've already got a third one scheduled with him. It seems like once you get on, that it's easy to just keep going back again. These talk shows are always looking for guests.
Yeah, I mean, they're hurting for content for the most part. I mean, almost everybody in media is constantly looking out for content. They're constantly looking out for people that have interesting stuff to say. And you guys as authors are a lot more interesting than somebody who's not an author. So don't forget, this makes you high quality, high value when you have this content available. Okay, and I mentioned radio and TV. That was coming next. And don't forget TV. TV is really good. This is all free marketing. One thing to do, and I know he's doing this too, is get the copy of the radio, get the copy of the TV, and then you can repurpose this in lots of other ways. Okay, we covered a bunch of stuff so far. Podcast. That was the other thing. I was listening to, I'll give you an example. I was listening to James Clear. Anybody know who James Clear is? Yeah, a couple of you guys. He wrote the book Atomic Habits. Highly recommend that book. So Atomic Habits is a book about habits. It's a book about discipline, and I find it very, very useful. But what I found useful listening to him was he talked about how he got his book launched. And he got his book launched by multiple methods. In his case, of course, the objective was to get book sales. But even in his case, to get book sales, where he really made his money was it turned him into somebody who would get paid $100,000 to go speak and do seminars. $100,000 to speak, and then he made a lot of money off of seminars. So even though he's a really big bestseller with his book, that was not where the big money turned out to be. But the point of what I was getting to on this with podcast was how he got on just hundreds and hundreds of different major podcasts in the country. And the way he did it was he made a list of the top 300 podcasts he wanted to go on. And now again, you guys don't need to do the top 300 because you're focusing in, for the most part, on a close geography. I think a couple of you guys are doing a couple states geography, and a few of you guys that might be listening to this later, if you're doing national geography, you do want to do more of what James Clear did. But because he was doing national, he picked whatever geography he did, you pick the top podcasts or the top media in the geography that you're looking for. And then he went through all the ones that were the top ones, the ones that mattered. And he wrote an email to all of them and wrote something. It was the same email, except for he said, well, I noticed that you had so-and-so on your podcast. I think what I do is really complimentary in this way, a specific way. So I'd love to be on your podcast so that I can help with this way. So something complimentary to them and what he would offer the podcast. And it didn't matter if it was a liberal or a conservative podcast, something that some guest they had on would be complimentary with something he said and something that he could offer them. So you guys could do exactly the same thing. And he said he got responses back from about 30-40% that were positive, and he could continue a conversation with them, and that got him in. And then he did another round of them. So podcasts can be pretty easy to get into. They want content a lot. And some of the podcasts are like 2 hour long, like Joe Rogan. Some of them are shorter, they're 30 minutes, but a lot of them are long content. Okay, let's talk about using your book online. Stop me for any questions. So one way is by video. So video content would include, let me go back a little bit here. If I can go back, how do I go back? Okay. Video content would include YouTube, but also Vimeo. And what do I mean by video content with your book? Well, video content would be just grabbing your book. If you go back and look at my podcast, and you can find it on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google Podcasts. So you can find mine. You can see the video. I just grabbed my first book and I opened up to one of the pages. One was on communication. And then I started talking about what was in the book. That's it. So it was just right here on Zoom. I hit record and then boom, I was talking about it. That was the deal. And you can then repurpose that same exact thing for your podcast. Now, if you've got a web marketing website, your video can get hooked up to your podcast platform. So if you got a video page, it'll go to Apple, Google, Spotify, any of the major podcast platforms. So that's very easy to do. Some of you guys have got that hooked up really well. You can also on your website have it be a lead magnet. I mentioned that already. That's a good idea. And then have a secondary page that can pop up as a to request their address, their full address, to make it be a free book. Or you could even, if you wanted to, this is a little more complicated to set up, but what you could do, let me write it out here, how that would work, how this would work. So there'd be a book on your web page that's an option. Usually most of you guys still want a regular offer. In some cases, that may be the offer of your book, but a secondary offer on your page might be a free book, and really what they get is a download. But then the thank you page is going to say, get the book, a full, paperback version of the book, and they give you their address, right? Because you need that. And then it goes to a thank you page. Well, another way to do this is here they would go to get the book, but they pay for shipping and handling. So this sometimes we recommend in certain scenarios. So I can walk you through which way it would be better for you. And then you get the cost of the book covered by the shipping and handling. Maybe they pay $9.95 or something. The reason this is valuable is if you want to get their credit card up front. So for some of you in some businesses, this would be a better way to do it. For most of you, this way is better, because what you really want is their address so you can mail to them later and send them postcards and things. Your primary goal is to get their address, not to get their credit card. This is more for an online. So you'll see a lot of companies do this because they want to be able to online market to them, and they have their credit card saved so that then it's easy for them to make purchases later. Just like on Amazon, you guys can buy things on Amazon and they've already got your credit card saved, so it's easy to buy from them later. Any questions on that? I went through that really fast. You can repurpose your book on your blog. So a lot of you guys, I've been complaining to you that you haven't been blogging enough. This is a great way to add some more blog content that's not going to be dinged because it's AI repurposed content. We're concerned that Google's going to have some difficulty with any AI generated content if you're using ChatGPT for stuff. So your book is going to be perfect content because it's very personalized for you. You can repurpose the content on your blog. So I recommend you doing that. And then other outreach, we already talked about these, and this is all going to be online too. You can do that. And we already talked about these. So that's all online as well. So we're going to talk about a couple more things now and kind of wrap up for any questions. Now I'll talk about some other stuff you can outsource. We can do this, or you can outsource it in other ways. What we do sometimes is do a marketing analysis to see where the holes are in your content, so you can figure out where the best use of your time and effort and money. So by the way, again, set the time to follow up with me and keep writing on your ROI sheet for all these other things. Let me go back really quick. All this stuff here and all the stuff here and all the stuff that we did here, all this stuff needs to be on your sheet that you have out of what you're doing, so that you've got a good idea of what you're going to do moving forward. And any other things that you want to use for your book, or use your book for, because we want to follow up with that when we do your one-on-ones. So make sure you set your one-on-ones with me so that we can do your follow-up. Okay, so marketing analysis would be where and this, some of you guys might be able to do this on your own, but this would be a complete look at where the holes are in your online content, your offline content, so that we can figure out where the best time would be spent to do all this stuff. Obviously, one thing I would do no matter what is market to your old prospect list. So your old prospect list, getting your book out to them and any content out to them is priority number one. Press releases are really important to do. These are online press releases. I'll show you a version of that. So a press release looks like this in today's day and age. I'm not going to look at Da Vinci Code. We'll look at one. We just did this one for a chemical company. So here's a press release. This is the summary page of a press release. And this is content all over the internet that goes everywhere. Now, even if you're a local business, so you only market within like a 10-mile radius or 5-mile radius of where you are, you still want press release content everywhere. So you'll notice this is even Canada and everywhere else. But there's Texan culture today. This is the product that's getting marketed, and you can see how it's here. You can see how it's in Google News. This is a summary of all the different Google News. This is coming up because of me. AP News. So this is on AP News everywhere. It's also got, you can post from this page onto Facebook, the articles on your own Facebook page, but all these different places, this is where press releases go. So it's in Marietta, Georgia, Knoxville, Tennessee, Peoria, Illinois, about on the average, about 400 different places. Let me know if you guys have questions about press releases. So press releases are to go out to announce your book, usually around 3 months later to 6 months later, and then another 3 to 6 months later. That's what press releases do. And those are all linked back. You want them nationwide, so they all link back to your website and your content. And that way you can get a higher ranking from Google, because Google believes your website's a lot more robust. Some of you guys have an author webpage with us. I'll you see what that looks like. So the author webpage is like this. This is one of you guys here. A few of you guys have these with us. So this is a one page author website or web page. Another one is like this is called an author website, because from these, this is mine. You can look at you can have a podcast or a video page with content. You can have a blog. So the difference between a page and a website is the website has a way to continue to build out more content. So you can build content and content. Why this is important, a web page or a website is important, because Google doesn't allow you for your individual business to have more than one website per business. There's some exceptions to that, but pretty much you can have one website for one business, because of it limits you by how many suite numbers you have for your business. Otherwise, you could build 100 websites for your business and try to dominate the internet, and it blacklists you if you try to do that. When you're an author, Google recognizes you as a separate entity as an author, so you can have your business website and you can have your website as an author, and you can get away with having double the amount of content on the internet. So that's one reason this stuff is really important in all of your online stuff we're talking about, because all the online stuff you create as an author, you can double how much stuff you can get credit for online versus Google. Questions on that? That's a quick version of what the reason the author content's really important, because you can escalate how much stuff you can get out online. So there's author web pages, author websites. You can market your launch of your author website, which gets you ranked more in Google. This might be really important, Joel, for you with the restrictions you got in compliance. We can get around some of that with the author websites. Branding yourself as an author. You can also get on iBookstore and Barnes & Noble. Those are, if some of your target market uses iBookstore and Barnes & Noble, we can look at that. And if they tend to use one of those platforms more, which some do, then we can see about putting them on those bookstores. Generally, we don't start with that. That's not normally what we do. But if your target demographics looks at those or uses one of these platforms more, that's something we have to look at doing. We can do an email campaign to your target market, and then of course we can put a lot of content out, and press releases, videos, and all that stuff can be outsourced. And of course, we're going to include and do a marketing plan for you for free. So here's the difference. We got author pages, author sites. One thing I wanted to mention too is Amazon page. You guys can do this on your own. Let me show you how to get started on that. if I can figure out where we're at. Okay. And share the right page. Okay, so an Amazon author page, here's my Amazon author page. And you'll see at the bottom of my emails, it's like amazon.com/author/Greg Moody. And if you go to that page, it'll show all my books in one page. All of you can create this, and I can walk you through the steps when we do our one-on-one. So again, I think there's about 3 of you that haven't done that yet. Set up the one-on-one. Do it now, so I don't hassle you anymore. And I'll bug you if you don't. But what you can do is set this up. We can do it for you too, but you can do it on your own. It's pretty easy to do. You claim all the books that you've done, and then you'll have a separate thing that you can put at the bottom of your email account or your email signatures, and they can have one click and they can go to all the Amazon books that you have. Now, why do you care about this? Well, you care about it because you want to be able to link to one of the biggest websites in the world, which is Amazon, on all the bottom of your blogs and any other content you have and everything online. And I know I keep kind of beating a dead horse on this. The more you can link to, the more you can connect to your website, the more you can connect to your persona online, then the more you're going to get seen, the more your business is going to get seen, and the more you're going to rank. So this is like a cheap and easy way to do that. So an Amazon author page, that's what this looks like. And the other way to remember what that, if you ever forget, if you look at one of the books that I've written, so let's look at another one. Like here's The Business of Becoming an Author. So this is written by 2 people, me and Tracy Lee Thomas. And if you click on my name, that's where you get to the author. Well, you actually get to that book in this case. It should get to my author page. It didn't in that case. Sometimes Amazon does not take you to the same place. So you do have to live with that a little bit. Let me see if it does it from the Kindle page. Huh, that's weird. Okay, well, it's supposed to, oh, let's see if I go over here. So there, if I go to the author page, Amazon changes a little bit. It's actually supposed to, if I click there, take you to the author page, but sometimes it doesn't always do what you expect it to do. So if you click on the side on the author, see there, you'll find the author. When you click here, it is supposed to bring up all the books by that person, but I don't have an explanation of why it doesn't do that. But occasionally I do get different results from Amazon. So those are 3 different. One of these 2 sites is important because you can increase your coverage online, and then the Amazon page is really important. Okay, so another last thing, I'll get 2 minutes. Last thing to think about is expanding your book. So expanding your book and doing either more books or to expand into other books for those of you guys who are ready to do this. If you have your book and you have, let's say, 4 or 5 chapters. So one way to do more books, it's easiest to do another book. That's one way. The other way to do another book is you can right now have us take one of the chapters and give that to the ghostwriter, and boom, they can do another book. You wouldn't have to do hardly anything except maybe one meeting to decide how you want the internal chapters broken. And I'll give you an example of that. Stephen Covey, who did the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the next 7 books were each one of the habits. So that's one way to expand what you're doing with your current book. And then if you had, in his case, went from 1 book to 7 books, well, 8 books, right? 1 book plus 7 more. Then you're multiplying the number of ways you can use it to market. The other way you can do it is repurpose it as separate white papers. So the books themselves can be repurposed as shrunk down, and one chapter we put a cover on it, and it can be shrunk as a separate white paper. So then you can chop it up and use it as other white paper. So we can talk about that at your one-on-one if you're interested, and then republish it for narrow target, for narrow targets. And Barbara, if she's listening, this is really great for Joel. So for example, let's say you're doing a book on, I'll use Gerald Dunn's book, Heroes and Villains. You could do the preschool heroes and villains, the elementary school one, and the teenager one, and the one for adults. And the only thing that you change is the intro and maybe a little bit of content in the middle. And that's it. And you could republish it as a version for different age groups. Not for the age groups to read, but for the parents of those age groups to read, to narrow the target audience down. And then it would speak more to them with very little changes of the internal. So this happens a lot. Like you'll see this in the financial field. It'll be somebody will write a book and then they'll say like, how to save for retirement. And then it'll be the same book, but changed a little bit with a little bit of customization, how to save for retirement for firefighters, how to save for retirement for airplane pilots, how to save for retirement for something. I'm not trying to talk you into anything other than this is very easy to do. So it's an easy way to expand what you're doing with your book. Okay. I already talked about Amazon author page. I don't know why that popped up. And then let's make sure on this, you guys, I think most of you scheduled your time. If you haven't, Michael, I think Dwayne Fleas, we still need to get you scheduled. Paul, I don't know if you scheduled yet, so I'm calling you guys out. Make sure you get scheduled. Don't forget, the link is in the chat. Let's get scheduled, and we'll get a complete marketing plan when we get together. Sorry, I'm rushing here, guys. I'm doing another webinar 2 minutes ago, and it'll enhance everything in your business. So we'll get everything in your business working better. I hope I covered enough broad strokes. And then when we get to your one-on-one, we can cover specifically what you can do. And I'm giving you enough content here. Feel free to give me some email feedback on other stuff you'd like to cover, need to get added in. And I can do a part 2 of this as well. There's a lot more you can do with your book than I've even, I'm really just scratching the surface here, but I want to make sure you get at least this stuff going and get a lot done. And all those things that you listed, each one of them should have a big ROI, big return on investment of what you can create from having your book. So let's be liberal and get the about getting your book. That word only means this, about getting your book and spread it around. Okay. All right. Well, thanks a lot for being here, guys. Anybody have any real important last questions that we need to wrap up with?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
sir.
Okay.
Thanks, Master Moody.
You're welcome. Thank you, sir.